Funky.
All right.
All right, welcome to the Funk Basement with Stelvio and Coach. We about to present our last comments of The Last Dance with Michael Jordan and the Fabulous Bulls. What's going on, brother?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm chilling.
Yes, sir.
So, what do you think about this entire 10-segment presentation of Michael Jordan and the Bulls?
Overall, it was a great series. I thought the episodes were intriguing. Like yourself, I lived through that time. I watched all these things happen, but it was really nice to get some insight to kind of behind the scenes, what was going on. It was from Michael Jordan's perspective. And so it was really from his perspective and what he saw and what he was experiencing. So overall, I enjoyed it. I do have my problems with it, but overall, I thought it was good. It was good entertainment.
So, this documentary has really generated a lot of questions about it. And one of my main questions is, and this is probably what the initial question was, is who's considered the greatest basketball player of all time? After this documentary, a lot of people have changed minds from one basketball player to Michael Jordan. Do you think that we've seen enough to have an opinion on if Jordan was the top GOAT of them all? What do you think?
So for me, I have a hard time crowning anyone the greatest of all time, because to me, to be the greatest of all time, then we need to stop playing basketball, right? There's no more basketball, and now we start putting them in order. Every basketball player builds upon those that came before them. That's just how it is, right? So Michael Jordan built upon what Julius Erving did and what Willis Reed and Oscar Robertson did. That's what he built upon, right? Kobe Bryant built on what Michael Jordan did. LeBron James built on what Kobe Bryant did. So if we're going to try to put them in 1, 2, 3, first, second, third category, yeah, if you look at Michael Jordan, you look at his resume, you look at what he did. He won 6 championships. He went to the finals 6 times. He won 6 championships, right? Multiple league MVP, multiple finals MVP. He has scoring, attributes on his name. Yes, we can give him number 1 as far as top basketball player of all time. But I think it's okay to debate it because there are other basketball players that we can look at in the past that had some pretty stellar careers. And we can't forget that Michael Jordan played, when he won his championships, he won with a Hall of Famer. All 6 were won with Scottie Pippen. And we can't forget that. And people want to try to discredit Scottie but Scottie Pippen was the reason Michael Jordan was able to win those 6 championships.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. I'm gonna stop you there. We're gonna get there, bruh.
I'm ready.
We're gonna get there, bruh. I know where you're going with that, but I wanna strap you down, man. I want you to pick one.
Okay.
Who's the? I completely understand where you're coming from, and you're exactly right. I mean, it's hard to pick greatest of all time because when you look at each generation, there's somebody different that you may think, hey, he's the greatest of all time. But you can't quite do that unless you lump them all at once. And then you evaluate accordingly. But who's the best that you've ever seen in your time? Who's the best that you've ever seen?
It would be Michael Jordan. I mean, that's not an argument. It'd be Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the best. I'm 49 years old, and of all the basketball that I've watched in my 49 years, Michael Jordan is the best professional basketball player I've ever watched.
But you're excluding a lot of great players during our time, right?
Well, yeah, but again,
you're excluding a lot of great players.
I am, but the question you said was, who's the best in my time that I've watched? Well, Michael's the best. It doesn't mean that Akeem Olajuwon wasn't great. It doesn't mean that Julius Irving. I was young when Julius Irving was playing. He wasn't great. Doesn't mean Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Dominique Wilkins. Right? Doesn't mean these guys weren't great. But in my lifetime, Michael Jordan was the greatest because when Michael played, you knew that he was going to bring a level of basketball to the court that you hadn't seen before. And Michael did play against those players I just mentioned, and he was able to succeed against them. So that's where I would give him the GOAT of my generation as far as what I've watched.
So when I first started watching the series, or just during that time period, I was a big Lakers fan. Mm-hmm. And the person I thought that was the greatest I had ever seen, I actually got a chance to see Dr. J play. It wasn't at his peak. It was probably on his downside, but I still thought that he was one of the greats ever. Mm-hmm. And I even got a chance to see that famous, under the backboard layup that he made. And I can't remember who he made it on, but it was incredible. But the person I thought that was great, and I didn't think anybody was going to overtake him, was Magic Johnson. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy was 6'9". He was a point guard, and he played all 5 positions. Mm-hmm. I mean, you still don't see anybody doing that right now. You've seen LeBron trying to attempt that, but I don't even think he's played all 5 positions like Magic did that one time during playoff finals when Kareem couldn't play. He got hurt, and Magic Johnson was able to do it all. I mean, he did it at all 5 positions, and he was able to run up the court, throw all these ridiculous passes. He played, relatively decent defense. He could score a lot of points if he needed to. He could take over a game. He was an incredible player, and I didn't ever think I was going to see anybody as great as Magic Johnson with all those physical gifts. And it took me a while to really accept Jordan because we saw him when he first started with the Bulls. They was kind of garbage, and they were losing even when he was playing. And we thought, okay, this guy is pretty good, but they're not really doing nothing. So, we still had other people on our minds that we thought were great. And after a while, and especially when Scottie Pippen came along, he really started to show exactly what he was capable of if he had help. Some of the things that he was compared to was the great Dr. J. Now, the great Dr. J, he had an incredible game, but what he was always criticized for was not having that mid-range J or that long-range jump shot. And then when we saw Jordan, he developed that, and we was like, hey, this guy's Dr. J with a mid-range J and a three-pointer. He's looking pretty good. I mean, who's going to be better than this cat? Okay, after he developed that, they started talking about, okay, well, how is he defensively? Well, lo and behold, he started shutting people down, became Defensive Player of the Year. Then they started criticizing him again, talking about, hey, what about, he's not sharing the ball. He's taking over. He's a selfish player. You don't have that many assists. I believe 1 year, and Boomer, you can look this up, our producer. You can look this up. He had the most assists during 1 year. And this is during when Stockton was playing and all these great point guards at the time. He led the league in assists 1 year. I mean, he probably proved us wrong at every point. So pretty much, based on this documentary, based on what I've seen and saw while he was playing with the Bulls, he's probably the greatest basketball player I've ever seen. Athletically, leadership-wise, which can be debated based on what we saw about this documentary. People have said that he is a great leader, but he's even had teammates saying, I don't know about that, AKA Horace Grant. Yeah. But just overall, on a general view of Michael Jordan, I think he's probably the greatest of all time. That includes LeBron, that includes Magic, that includes Bird, that includes all the greats that we've seen. We didn't get a chance to see Oscar Robertson. We didn't get a chance to see a lot of those great players. I mean, even people like the logo, you know, Jerry West, and there are other great players that, you know, that aren't mentioned in these categories. But after saying all that, Jordan was the greatest. He was the great, and I'll agree with you all that, since you know, are really a fake Chicago, you know, Bulls fan. But yeah, he was great, man. He was great. He was great. But you know, also, you know, they've talked about some things with Jordan, and a lot of things that I enjoyed about the actual documentary is some of his personal stuff. You know, that we didn't think we were going to see. You know, about his gambling afflictions, some of his home life, his relationship with his dad, and with his kids. They didn't go into that much about that, so they kind of focused in on just his basketball. It's probably done on purpose too, because he seems to be a pretty private guy. But what I want to lead to is something that you're real passionate about, and I'm looking forward to this conversation, is Michael Jordan's success. You know, his success when Scottie Pippen joined the fray. So, so what do you think about that? I mean, do you really think that he could not have been successful if Scottie Pippen hadn't joined the Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. He wasn't successful until Scottie joined the Bulls. He didn't win a championship until Scottie Pippen became his teammate. I mean, again, he didn't win anything after Scottie wasn't his teammate. I mean, again, let's just, you know, Scottie Pippen was not his Robin. Scottie Pippen was more of Batman 2.0. Jordan was Batman 1.0. Scottie was Batman 2.0. You know what I'm saying? Scottie allowed Jordan to not have to guard the toughest player on the team. Scottie could guard the tough players on the team. You know, Scottie he's the player that invented the position point forward. That was invented by Scottie Pippen, a forward that now is running the point. You know, and stuff. So as great as Michael Jordan was, and we both agree with that, I think that it is lost on a lot of people that without Scottie Pippen, I don't believe Michael Jordan would have won 6 championships. I don't believe that.
Do you believe they would have contended for the championships without him?
Well, yeah, they could. Here's what they would have done. Exactly what they did before they got him. What did they do before they got him? I think they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, okay, a couple times. Got beat down by Boston in the
without
playoffs.
Scottie.
Without Scottie.
I don't know if they made the Eastern Conference Finals without him. Did they?
Yeah, I think they did because they or maybe they did. Maybe it was early rounds in the playoffs.
I think it was close, but I don't think they actually made it to the finals. I'm not sure about
that. But again, Michael Jordan would have progressed to be a great player. Okay, I'm not arguing that. But what I'm saying is it's been proven that if you don't have another Hall of Famer or close to Hall of Famer on your team, you don't win. That's been proven. I mean, we can go back and look at all the NBA champions that have ever been champions. It's been proven that if you don't have either a high, almost Hall of Famer or a Hall of Famer on your squad, you're not going to win championships. You know, and so I have had an issue with people discounting the contribution that Scottie Pippen made to the Bulls. You know.
Well, you know what? I don't really think at this point there's a whole lot of people who dismiss the fact that, you know, Scottie really made a lot of contributions to those Jordan teams. I mean, it was obvious. They presented it. Even Michael Jordan himself said it. So how can you really argue against that? He said, "Hey, I wouldn't have done it without Scottie Pippen next to me." So I can't really refute that.
Well, I'm not talking about Michael Jordan. I'm talking about there are people in our generation that lived through the Last Dance. We lived it, and I've had constant debates on if Scottie should even be on the list of the top 50 greatest players. There are people who told me he shouldn't be. ESPN put out a list of the top
He shouldn't be in the top 50?
That's what people. I've had that debate. I've been arguing with people about that, since The Last Dance ended, that he shouldn't even be on that list. And I'm like, are you crazy? And stuff. Yeah, I've had that legitimate debate with people, and to me, it makes no sense because Scottie Pippen is the reason why we say Michael Jordan is the greatest.
Well, no, I agree. I mean, I agree with him being on, those Bulls teams and him being a huge catalyst of them getting by, those great Detroit Piston teams and Boston and the Lakers and all that type of stuff. I mean, I completely agree with that. So let's talk about what happened when Jordan went on his baseball hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
And then in comes Tony Kukoc.
Mm-hmm.
So what about that game when Phil Jackson decided to draw up a play for Tony Kukoc in the final seconds of a game, and the play wasn't drawn up for Scottie Pippen, and Scottie decides to sit out? What's your opinion on that? Do you think that Scottie Pippen should have sat out? Do you think he was wrong? Do you think he was right for doing that? What's your opinion on that?
So
Mr. Pippen?
here's my opinion, and I'm going to preference this to make sure the people understand. I'm talking about a professional athlete that's being paid to do this. I'm not talking about a kid in high school or a kid in college or a kid playing for his elementary school, right? I'm talking about a professional athlete that's making millions of dollars to play this game. Yes, he should have sat out. Okay. Yes, because it was straight disrespectful. Let me ask you the question. If that was Michael Jordan, what do you think Michael Jordan would have done if Phil Jackson drew up a play for Tony Kukoc and it wasn't for Michael Jordan? What do you think Michael would have done?
He wouldn't have sat out.
No, he probably would have threw a punch and knocked out Phil Jackson. Okay.
No, he wouldn't have.
Yes, he would have.
He'd have been a team player.
Oh my God.
Dished it
off.
off.
Are you serious?
Dished it off. He'd have been a team player, dished it off. He might have been a little upset or something, but he wouldn't have sat out.
So we call this.
He would not have sat out. He wouldn't have done selfish thing to sit out and jeopardize the team's win. He would not have done that. As bad as he wants to win, he wouldn't have done that.
We call this revisionist history, because what Michael Jordan would have done is he would have went into the thing and told Tony, "You better fucking pass me the ball," and then that would have been it. And we know he would have said that. I don't even know why we try to pretend. This is the same man that punched Steve Kerr in the face at practice. Come on now. So no, Phil Jackson would not have done that to Michael Jordan, right? So I respect Scottie for being like, no, man, I'm the star on the squad, and you're gonna draw this play up for this young cat? It doesn't matter. I'm the guy the play's drawn up for me, not drawn up for him. So I respect the fact he's like, look, I'm not. Hey, you got it, you got it. Tony hit the shot. Great job, Tony. Congratulations. But if you got it, you got it. You want to roll with him, you roll with him. So I respect him for putting his foot down like that.
For putting his foot down and jeopardizing that team.
Really jeopardizing?
You don't feel like that was a selfish move at all? Not even a little bit?
Steve Stelvio, everybody's getting a paycheck. This not as selfish, okay? You know what I'm saying? It's not selfish. Was it selfish if the Bulls wouldn't renegotiate Pippen's contract, even though he had already signed it and he wanted more money? Okay, no, it's not selfish. He's a grown man. If you're not
okay, all right. Wait. Well, let me give you this example, and I want you to tell me if this is not the same thing. I mean, this is kind of the same thing.
Okay.
What do you think? And you, I've heard you had opinion about this too, and you've clowned me about this.
Mm-hmm.
What happened when during the playoffs, and I believe it was during the playoffs, I could be wrong,
mm-hmm.
when Kobe basically didn't score for a whole game?
Okay.
Because for one reason or another, he wasn't getting his way.
Mm-hmm.
How is that different from what Scottie Pippen did?
So you got to help me out. Okay, so what happened? What was going on when Kobe?
You don't remember that game where Kobe basically decided that he wasn't going to score the whole game because he was getting criticized for always being a selfish player and always shooting.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
And then one game he just decided he was just going to pass it no matter what. He was
I
just
remember
going to
that.
pass it,
Okay.
and he pretty much didn't score the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe they lost bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, I don't know if that had any playoff implications, and I don't think it really did. I'm not sure it was during the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a selfish play. And I've heard you say that too. Said, oh, what about Kobe? You know, he didn't even score an entire game. What kind of mess is that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how is that different from what Scottie Pippen did?
Well,
They were
so
in a playoff run.
So let me explain.
And he
So
decided
first
I'm
thing,
gonna sit on the bench
so here's the thing. So
just to
again,
prove a point,
no, listen. Here's the thing. So with the
which
Scotty
didn't
thing,
work, by the way.
so listen. With the Kobe thing, well, first thing, let's understand who these men are. Okay, these are not some guys that tried out for the team and they made the team and they're the 12th guy on the bench. And these are superstars. These are guys who the franchise is built around. Okay, they are integral to the franchise winning. They've proven that they will help the franchise win. Okay, so they're on a different level than just your normal cat that's trying to get minutes. Okay, the difference is with Scotty's situation. This was at the end of the game. Now you and I both know at the end of the game when they draw plays up, they're getting a ball in the hands of the best player. Okay, so rather it's LeBron James, okay, rather it's Steph Curry, okay, they're getting the ball into the hands of the best player. So I can understand Scotty being pissed off that you're drawing this play up and you're putting the ball in the hands of Tony Kukoc. Now, Phil Jackson explained it. You know, Tony wasn't open. He's made these shots before, blah, 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 blah. But what I keep saying is if that was Michael Jordan, would Phil Jackson have drew a play up for Tony Kukoc and not Michael Jordan? And the answer is no, he wouldn't have. Because there's no way in the hell Michael Jordan would have allowed a rookie to take a game-winning shot over him. And we know he wouldn't have. His competitive juices wouldn't have allowed it. The Kobe thing, Kobe did this action the whole game. So Kobe had a preconceived notion that when I start this game, this is what I'm going to do. Now that piece I don't agree with. This wasn't something that in the moment you're like, oh hell no, what are you talking about? Okay, fine, I won't go in. No, this is I'm in the locker room and I've decided I'm not going to score. I'm just going to pass. I'm going to prove them wrong. That is something that's premeditated, right? And yeah, I do have a problem with that because premeditated, right? But nonetheless, these are both multimillionaires who are being paid to play the sport. If Kobe felt disrespected by whomever and he felt he needed to prove it, it looks like he proved it and it looks like it worked because I don't think everybody was talking that mess no more once they started winning championships and he played his whole career with LA, right? So again, you know, the Scottie Pippen thing, everybody wants to paint Scottie as being selfish, wants to paint Scottie as, oh my God, that's so wrong. That's not being a team player. That's bullshit because we know Michael would have done the exact same thing. And that's the one thing, I'm gonna tell you one thing I did not like about The Last Dance is that Michael Jordan tried to paint himself like he was this uber leader, this uber competitive that all I want to do is win and I'm gonna do it this way and basically the ends justify the means. And I disagree with that. Okay, I disagree with that, how that was projected. Because to me, there was a lot of things that I liked about Michael Jordan during that time of his career, but there are a lot of things I did not like about Michael Jordan during that time of his career. And one of the things I didn't like about it, and you and I have talked about this, is during that last season, when Jerry Reinsdorf basically told them that he's breaking up the team at the end of the season, instead of Michael Jordan, in my opinion, being a man that has some power and basically saying, you know what, you're not going to end my career. I will end my career when I decide. And after the season's over, we're going to play for somebody else. He just stopped playing. And to me, that was a buster move because you basically let the master tell you you can't play no more. And I've lost respect for Michael Jordan ever since that happened because you could have controlled your own destiny and went and played for somebody else immediately and proved Jerry Reinsdorf that you're not going to make me stop. But you basically was like, well, if masters say I can't play, I guess I just won't play. I got a problem with that.
Well, that's a good transition to what I wanted to talk about next is real quick is Michael Jordan's leadership style. And there's several people who have something against it. There's some people who agree with it. Personally, I believe for that particular team and that particular time, I think it was appropriate. He was kind of a bully. He tried to pretty much form the team in his own image. Not everybody can do that. You know, that's a pretty tough thing to do, especially when you have athletes that are pretty much on the same level. I mean, I'm not necessarily thinking maybe physically, but maybe financially. They're all pros. They're really good players, and it's really tough for one particular individual just to take control and to lead and guide, you know, men, especially men trying to win a championship. He was pretty much a bully. I mean, that's pretty much how you can look at it. I mean, he was mean. He was forceful. He tried to embarrass you into doing what he felt he needed to, you know, to get you to do to play at your optimal ability. So what do you think about that? Do you think that he shouldn't have been that way? Do you think the team would have still been successful without it? What's your opinion on that?
Well, so first, I think it's a false narrative to say that Michael Jordan was the leader of the Bulls that guided them to their 6 championships. That's a false narrative because Michael Jordan wasn't the coach. He wasn't the coach. Phil Jackson was the coach. Phil Jackson was the one who guided the team to their championships, okay? As someone who coaches, I understand that as a coach, you have to be able to handle personalities. And what Phil Jackson saw was Michael Jordan had a very strong personality. And so he allowed Michael to do certain things that would push players to do what he needed them to do. A lot of times players will react to another teammate getting on their case than they will to a coach getting on their case, right? Michael Jordan's quote unquote leadership, to me, that wasn't leadership, right? You know, punching somebody in the face, what is that? What does that do? All it's gonna do is piss you off, right? Steve Kerr knew what he needed to do, right? Steve Kerr punched Michael in the chest. Michael punched him in the face. Michael got thrown out of practice. That didn't change Steve. That didn't make Steve Kerr a better shooter. That didn't make Steve Kerr, you know, oh, I'm gonna go practice shooting threes because Michael hit me. Really? You know, so again, to me, it's a false narrative that, oh, Michael Jordan was this great leader. To me, he wasn't a great leader. You know, he was someone that was athletically better than almost everybody on this team. He was someone whose personality was a lot stronger than everybody on the team, okay? And that personality was able to influence and direct people to do things that he wanted them to do. But Phil Jackson was the guidance, right? Did you ever hear about Michael doing anything to bully Dennis Rodman?
No.
Of course not, because Dennis would have kicked his ass, okay? Because Dennis is a grown-ass man. You know what I'm saying? So no, he ain't gonna do nothing. When Dennis wanted to go on vacation, what did Dennis do? He went to Phil and said, I need to go on vacation. I know it's the middle of the season, but I need to go on vacation. And what did he do? He went to Vegas, right? And then when Michael then went to go get Dennis and he was in the bed with all them women, all they was like, come on, Dennis. He was like, okay, right? You never saw Michael talking about Dennis or, you know, trying to clown Dennis. No. Michael was the type of teammate, and I've played with these type of guys, where they pick on the weakest personality on the team. Okay, Scott Burrell. I think that was the guy's name. Scott Burrell was on the team during that last.
Yeah, that's the one that they were talking about, who pretty much accepted his role and accepted Jordan's, you know, constructive criticisms and stuff like that, and he didn't let it bother him too much.
Yeah,
but people criticized him for that, for taking all that stuff.
Well, but
they
again,
also criticized Horace Grant for taking a lot of stuff too.
But again, those were softer personalities, right? Those are probably men at the time that didn't want confrontation. They wanted simply to do their job, right? During that, did he do that to Charles Oakley? When Charles Oakley?
Absolutely not.
Exactly, because Charles Oakley would have kicked his ass. right? You know, did he do it to Bill Cartwright? No, he didn't do it to Bill Cartwright. You know what I'm saying? So again, I play with men like that. They pick and choose who they're going to try to bully. But the leadership of the team over those 6 championships they won, that leadership was Phil Jackson. He's the one that led them. He's the one that was able to control those personalities and to keep them all in check and understand that, yeah, Michael is this very strong personality, but I still got to get Scotty, and I still got to get Horace, and I still got to get Steve Kerr and BJ Armstrong and all these guys to buy into this thing so we can have success.
Okay, I see this is coming from a coach's perspective. It's the coach's fault. It's the coach's reason that the team made all those changes. It wasn't the players. You know, it wasn't the players. It was me. It was me.
Again, Michael didn't win a championship until Phil Jackson became his coach. And he didn't win any after Phil Jackson was not his coach. So again, I didn't make this up. This is in the history books. I didn't create this. This is in the history books. But of course, people want to forget that, and they want to make it feel like that Michael Jordan played all 5 positions and that he won all 6 championships by himself, 1 against 5, because he's so great. I mean, you know, I don't know.
Well, good deal. I can appreciate that perspective because I've coached too. But we can't get out there and play anymore. You know, the players have to play. They have to pretty much in some aspect or another kind of govern themselves and get on each other to make sure they are performing at a high level. All right, that's it for the Funk Basement. Stelvio, Coach, we out. Peace.
Peace.